You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio.
Welcome to the E3 coverage special of 808s and Joysticks. In this show, we will be discussing BE3 2019. I'm Tairell, and joining me for this special, as always, is Tom.
Yeah, so that is Bethesda, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we were anticipating coming to this show that didn't come. Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield both weren't mentioned during the show, which, I mean, they were mentioned once, slightly, saying that they're working on it still, but we didn't see anything for it, so those games don't look like they're going to be coming in 2020 or 2021 by the looks of it. It does look like it's going to be maybe slightly after that. But it's probably to be expected considering they did state last E3 that they're going to be for next gen. But to start off, we're going to talk about a game that came out last year that they focused mainly on for E3, and that's Fallout 76. And Aaron, you can start that then.
Well, did they really focus on anything? Like they glossed over a lot of things. Like, yeah, Todd Howard apologized, but he didn't really even okay, first off, let's start out with their little message that they did, their little video. You seen that right at the beginning, Tom? Oh my gosh, the whole fucking, oh, you mean so much to us, without the players we'll be nothing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's start here, Bethesda. Let's start with the fact that, all the canvas bags and things like that were rubbish, and people didn't get what they were supposed to be promised. The Nuka-Cola rum was just a cheap rum bottle encased in a plastic case. You're selling that for $80. Where is the refunds? Why were you banning players that were actually playing the game and, trying to be, truthful in the game rather than being an exploiter or a cheater, and you're banning them just due to the fact that they've acquired quite a high amount of rare items, without ever, without doing any due diligence, yet you started to come on to the stage just to say that, oh, you mean everything to us and the players mean so much, and just getting all the developers and everyone just saying thank you to the players. And I'm just like, why are you being so patronizing, saying oh, your feedback means a lot to us, and trust me, we know when you're giving us feedback. I'm like, yeah, but why are you saying that? We shouldn't be giving you criticism on the shit game that you've just released. I'm sorry, Fallout 76 shouldn't have been released in that state, no matter what anybody says. Todd Howard, whoever, nobody should agree on the fact that Fallout 76 was released to a shit show. Mm-hmm. And just saying sorry, and we're going to bring you this, and we're going to give you that, and all of these things, it's just not good enough. They're just giving us shoddy games.
Well, the thing is that they did acknowledge that there was problems at launch, and they said that, but they didn't really acknowledge it in the way that they probably should have. They basically played on the heartstrings of fans and just said, oh, you mean everything to us. We wouldn't be here without you. We know that launch of this game was not very good for Fallout 76, but it's our first time doing something like this. Is it? Because The Elder Scrolls Online is a game that you bought out a long time ago. So is it really the first time that you're doing something like this, or is it just the fact that you just completely made a mess of this? Because that's what I saw. Just a mess. Yeah, exactly.
It was just a mess, and that just goes to show this conference was not really anything to really write home about. It was just a lot of what we already know and what we've already kind of seen, and a couple new games sprinkled in there, but we just got Elder Scrolled to death in this conference. And then we had a bit of Fallout again, and there's talking about the new update, the fact that the crowd was applauding at the fact that Bethesda are including human NPCs and branching narratives within their Fallout series is just hilarious. That is a game that is built upon branching narratives and, you know, human NPCs and actually having, you know, dynamic story choices.
Should have been
to have a game that, yeah, it should have been there at the start. Why is it getting added into year 2? Trying to give this whole, year 1 was about you coming out the vault. Year 2 now is about the people coming back. Like, so you meaning to tell me for an entire year nobody can able to talk to each other? Like, what are you talking about? There was no consequence. So what was the point of the game?
I don't think it was a plan. I think I know that they set out a plan a long time ago, but I don't think that the plan was to include all this stuff. I think they've sort of shoehorned that in just for the sake of it because it's a pleasing thing to do, and then giving it away for free. You know, oh, look at this, it's all free now. But would it have been free if the backlash wasn't there? I don't know.
I don't think so. No, I don't think it would be free. And the same way as how, we've got this new Battle Royale mode launching. Try out the sneak peek. Why are you just doing a sneak peek for? Obviously, if the Battle Royale mode is finished, just release it then. Like, what's the point? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know why you're holding back features from an online-only game. You don't have anything else to do but play online. So why would you hold back such a detrimental feature in modern gaming, such as Battle Royale mode? You're just doing it as a sneak peek. You're just trying to get players to stay around to play this half-baked, mediocre game that's kind of good now because, you know, Todd Howard believes that game should be released in these states at the beginning. I just think it's wrong, and I feel like they really try to take the piss as well with, like, putting all these, like, fans of Bethesda games on there, trying to make everyone feel sorry for them. Like, I just didn't really know what was that about, though? Like, you didn't choose one fan that actually had a concern or a problem. You were just choosing fans that were literally just up Bethesda's ass the entire time. Like, you didn't choose one person that was, like, had a bad experience. Every Bethesda game was great. Like, I didn't understand that.
I have a thing about this. So I was discussing this with a few people when we were watching it live. I don't know if all of them were fans or if some of them were actors or people that are just close
One of them, you know, you remember Gaming Illuminati back in the day? You know, Mr. Moshi. Remember Mr. Moshi? Yeah. Like, one of the guys. He was on there. He was one of the guys on there. So come on now. He's already a gamer. He's already, like, that's just promo for him. Like, you're choosing people who are already established. Like, I don't know who on there was probably not already a little bit known. Like, yeah, there might have been a few fans on there that weren't, like, big. But how are you going to choose a gamer who has a YouTube channel and a Twitch presence to have a presence on a screen? Like, I just didn't understand. I was thinking, who else there is like a paid YouTube gamer or something like that? Like, I'm not believing the fact that if I went on there, I'd be like, yo, to be honest, Bethesda hasn't been doing that well lately. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not going to say that, you know, every game's been to impeccable release because Bethesda's main game studios was so lackluster compared to their smaller studios who were bringing new IPs, who are reimagining old classics like Doom and things like that. Yeah, Bethesda can't even put together their own games or show off Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6, even though those are their next two big next-gen titles.
And then just want to talk about the Battle Royale mode again. Nuclear Winter they're coming in with. 52-person Battle Royale mode. It's not the normal Battle Royale we normally see, but is it a game that really needs a Battle Royale mode? Like, isn't the whole purpose of the game Battle Royale anyway, because it's a survival game? Like, is there a point in having a Battle Royale mode, or is it just there to shoehorn something else in again? Like, the game for me, yeah, it's got a free trial at the moment. I am going to play it when I get the chance to, if I get the chance to, just to try it out. But I can't see myself purchasing it. I'm going to play it, probably see what's been added since release, probably get bored within an hour and then never touch it again. But it doesn't really seem like they're... Okay, So they're listening to people with the Wastelanders DLC, bringing in NPCs and full dialogue trees. But like you mentioned earlier, shouldn't already have that because it's a Fallout game. That should already be in the game from launch, especially for how much the game costs.
Exactly.
Now, Battle Royale mode then doesn't seem like it's a thing that needs to be in this game, especially considering when they first announced this, like last year, it was technically Battle Royale anyway because you fight it's like everyone for each, like for themselves, and then whoever's like killing the most people has a bounty.
That's understand. That's a little bit weird because Todd Howard came on there. It's like, oh, we have like the best community and everyone's so nice to each other. I was just like, are they? Like, I'm pretty sure there's like whole factions that only kill people and all sorts of things on there. Like, are you? Am I seeing the same Fallout game? That's if you can even sign into the servers because of that shit. So like, I don't even. It's just so bad how much they try and like glaze over things. Like they just try and like patch over problems and just be like, this will all be okay because we're adding this into the game. But yeah, at what time? All I see is I just keep seeing 2019. When is that? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know when that is.
Well,
it's just.
It's like, I'm guessing September time, but anyway, you're talking about bad, so let's get on with the rest of the conference. Elder Scrolls Blades, wow.
I don't even want to talk about that bullshit, man. Like, what the fuck was that?
It's coming to Switch, and I don't know why.
I don't, what, and it was like, oh, and it's still free to play, so how are you going to possibly play this on the Switch then? Does it need to be online all the time? Like, what about the loot boxes? What about the paywalls?
Possibly, but
like, what?
The thing I don't get right is I have Skyrim on my Switch and it has motion controls in it, and that's fine. But why am I gonna play a free-to-play mobile game on my Switch with motion controls?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks like Elder Scrolls. Like, it looks like Skyrim Lite. It just looks so whack and stripped down. Like, I laughable that I actually thought this game might work, but it's the fact that they've only released it on mobile. Now they've released it on Switch. I thought it was supposed to be released on everything. Why is it not on all consoles yet? It's a simple game. Like, why is it not being released on everything? I don't understand. And also having Elder Scrolls
need to be released
on every system. I was say having Elder Scrolls on every system like this is a little bit weird because we have Elder Scrolls Online, Elder Scrolls Blades, Elder Scrolls fucking Legends, Elder Scrolls fucking Skyrim Remastered Edition, and number 6 is going to all be at play, like, in the same amount of, like, in the same console life cycle. I don't know how I can see that to be working.
I don't know, but I didn't really get the game. I mean, we were sort of interested in it last year. Now we've seen more. It's available now on mobile. You can download it now. Probably wouldn't recommend it. Maybe give it a try if you're interested in Elder Scrolls that much, but it doesn't look like it's worth it. And I'm going to move on to mobile games again, because we're speaking about mobile games. Another mobile game they announced, Commander Keen.
I didn't. I wasn't. I was just like, what is this?
Well, they're bringing Commander Keen back, you know, which is like an old IP, but really, like.
But who was? I'm saying, who was asking for that though, Tom? No one was. Like, I don't. This is what ZeniMax Online Studios took their time on to spend, like, to make this. You're telling me you couldn't make like a Doom MMO or something like that? Like, you had to make this.
I must say as well, the trailer for it, I was not impressed with like the gameplay. The trailer looked cool, but then we've seen no gameplay, and it's a mobile game. Like, everyone knows that the trailer of a mobile game is never representative of the actual game.
Well, you did see a little bit of gameplay, like, in the background when the game director was talking about the game, and it just looked, it really just looked so simple. I was just thinking how much grinding and what is the paywalls and everything like that going to be like. That's why I just kept putting on my show notes. It's just like, curious about what kind of grindy shit this is going to be, because I just know for a fact it's going to have grinding in there. Like, the amount of like little things you can like upgrade and buy, I was like, there's no way that they're not going to put hella grinding into this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, their last successful game, Fallout Shelter, was a mobile game, so that's probably a bit harsh. But, you know, if they want to focus on mobile games, then they can do that. They do make decent mobile games, but for an E3 announcement where you've got a big fan base waiting after the disappointment of Fallout 76, Rage 2, while good, never really kicked off too much by the looks of it. Like, it just seems like it's something that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like it should have just had the soft launch. And that's it. Like, I don't think it really needed to be like had this big announcement talking about like Commander Keen. Like people in the crowd was just kind of like clapping, like Commander Keen. Like what? Like nobody literally was like, oh, we really need that Commander Keen back. Like, I just didn't really understand at all. Really didn't understand. I don't think it was my type of game, and I don't think I'll be downloading it.
I can totally agree with you on that. But ZeniMax also make Elder Scrolls Online, and they did announce some new DLC for that. I mean, we've not really played Elder Scrolls Online for a long time now. I think we played it when it was first announced.
Yeah, you had like the extended like beta trial thing, and yeah, we played it. It's just like Skyrim Online, really. Like, I couldn't really. I don't have enough time to invest in a game like that. Like, I understand why people love those massive online games, because it's so immersive and such a great time to like just spend and sink a lot of hours into it and just into such like a nice world. But yeah, like I guess it's going to be really cool. There's still got some more DLC on the way. Do you have to pay for this, or? I
think all DLC comes included with the game for free.
With just the game, like, is the game not a subscription or anything? Or is it
no, it's like a one-time purchase of the game. Which, to be fair, is quite a good model they've got set up. And the expansion called Elsewhere, spelt ELSWEYR, you know, very creative that. But it did look good, but it also was basically just Game of Thrones in Elder Scrolls world. Like, it could have literally been episode 7 of Game of Thrones, but in Elder Scrolls. It literally just looked the same.
And they also got the Dragon Guard as well, coming as well, which is featuring like one of the legendary Red Guards from one of the original games. That's in the Dragon Guard. So that's coming to QuakeCon in this summer, which is actually be called DoomCon this summer, because it's been 25 years of Doom, I think. So yeah, and a new dungeon DLC called Scalebreaker is also on the way as well. So that's exciting for you, if you play the Elder Scrolls Online. I don't, and I know Tom don't. So yeah, that's really as much as we can say on that. Like, as I said, not really that pumped up for Bethesda. Wasn't really that much that got me excited. But this next game really did, though. Ghostwire Tokyo, coming from Shinji Mikami and Ikumi Nakamura from Tango Gameworks. They created The Evil Within and The Evil Within 2, both amazing horror survival action games. Go check those out if you really want to get into a nice story-driven horror game with a lot of twists and turns and interesting gameplay mechanics. This looked crazy. I felt the Death Stranding influence there kind of as well. If I don't know if you felt that as well.
Yeah, when I was seeing it, I was like, this feels like Death Stranding, but not. Like it. I mean, like you said, Evil Within, both very good games. And something like this, like it's got basically all that you would want in a game. Like, it's got horror, paranormal stuff, a bit of action, ninjas to a degree, like a bit of cyberpunk in there as well. Like, it had a lot of stuff, but it fitted together very well. Like, it meshed together quite well.
Yeah, I thought that the game was really interesting. I liked the aesthetic of it. I liked I don't know what you really call those, kind of like those masks. I feel like they're called like Oni masks, like demon masks, I guess. I thought that was like really interesting concept as well to be using. Yeah, I just liked the overall look of the entire game, and hopefully we get to see more of that soon, because I know that it's coming out I feel like it's coming out in 2020, or maybe they just didn't even give an announcement for it. But this is a departure from the Evil Within series, which I know is supposed to be getting a number 3 as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's exciting anyway, to see something brand new from that studio, seeing that it's got a studio veteran at the helm there at Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, I like the Thanos snap as well. The fact that people were disappearing just out of nowhere. A bit like, well, it's not really spoilers now, but a bit like the Thanos snap in Avengers. You know? Yeah,
exactly. I just thought the enemies looked really creepy, so I'm really excited to see more of that game and just see what the enemy's like, and especially what the gameplay is going to be like, because knowing what kind of games they usually make, I think they said this is going to be a lot different this time. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping for a more like hack and slash type game, because I think the woman behind this game did do some kind of I think she did concepts and primary designs on that for Bayonetta. So hopefully we can see some cool hack and slash like action. Yeah, I'm really excited.
And move on to a game that I'm quite excited about as well. Right, they sort of built it back up again towards the end, Bethesda here. So Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is coming out on July 26th. It's another Wolfenstein game, and it's co-op. So I'm quite excited about that. I'd definitely be into playing a game like this co-op. Like, I don't like FPSs that much, but when it's co-op and stuff like Wolfenstein, which is a really good game, it fits together really well.
Yeah, it does. And we definitely should try and play the entire game co-op. Like, we should try and see if we can try and like get like a stream or something going, because that was really cool. Like, and I loved how the gameplay looked. It just seemed kind of like that Doom gameplay, but obviously set within Paris, that's occupied by Nazi Germany, basically. And it's just a really, really cool storyline. It's going to be killing Nazis and stuff, and can't see why you wouldn't like a game like that. It's just a lot of action, a lot of blood, a lot of violence, fire, explosions, 80s. No, you just got to think all of that.
A few mechs in there
all
as well.
In one.
So
yeah, a few mechs as well. Yeah, definitely a few mechs. And yeah, I can't imagine it not to be a fun game, especially if it's going to be co-op as well. So
yeah, it's probably really one cool. Of the games out of this conference that I'd probably look to purchase.
Well, it's coming very soon. You can grab it on July the 26th, 2019, which is just around the corner. Really, it's about next month. So yeah. It's really, really cool. Just to move on as well to another like really cool game that caught my Deathloop. Looked really, really cool. Like basically you've got dual protagonists, kind of like Dishonored 2. This is by Arcane Studio, but Arcane Leon. So it looks like Arcane Studios maybe split off into separate teams now to work on different titles. And it takes place in Black Reef during a time of madness. And it looks like the two protagonists are stuck in a time loop, and they both have different types of like powers by the looks of it. Mm-hmm. And you just basically you die and you keep coming back, and it's kind of weird how like this kind of influences come around from Kojima about this whole looping. There's so many games that are using death loop mechanics, all stemming back really from PT, in my opinion, and Death Stranding as well. You know, the concept of, you know, essentially you can't die in a game anymore. And I think it's really cool, and I want to really see how they've implemented that in their own way of gameplay, and how two opposing protagonists can work within one single player narrative. So, well, we don't even know if it's a single player narrative. It could be a co-op. I have no idea. So
I think it will be just single player, but it did look like this. I think at the end of the trailer said the only way to stop the loop is to, they didn't say, but I assume the only way to stop the loop is to like kill each other.
Yeah, to kill each other, yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see if you get to pick which protagonist, like which side you're on. It's good.
I
think
you will
play through either side as well. It's like two different perspectives of a game.
Well, one said like in the trailer as well. Notice that one said one wants to break the cycle and one wants to like keep the cycle going or something like that. So I don't know what that really means for the game, but hopefully we see more. And it's a new, interesting game from Arcane Studios, which have brought out many great games over the past few years. Also, I'm trying to think what else I have. We've got Rage 2 was talked about, and that's just got a bunch of brand new updates, really. Didn't really have anything else to say about Rage 2, except for there's going to be like weekly updates, and it looks really fun, by the way. Like, it looks like a very fun game, but not much else. I don't think they got the response they really wanted from Rage, so I feel like they're just going to keep updating it, and it might just become one of those kind of like sleeper games that might be really big in the modding community.
It is getting an expansion called Rise of Ghosts, I believe.
Yeah, that's coming. That will be coming very soon.
Only saw a short trailer for that.
That's a brand new enemy faction, so that just opens up basically a brand new storyline as well. So that's really interesting. And new cheat codes, vehicles, game modes, modifiers, like a ton of things. Also with Wolfenstein, there's going to be a companion game, which is a VR companion game, which looked very interesting and very fun to play. So if you have a VR headset, go check out Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, which I think is coming out maybe just before Youngblood, or might be out already. So yeah, go check that out as well. And I think really the only other things we have to talk about is Doom Eternal and Bethesda, like weird little streaming section that they did as well.
Yeah, that was...
which I don't know which one you want to talk about really, because should we go with the streaming technology first?
Yeah, I'm interested about this because it just sort of came out of nowhere. So they bought out people from ID Software, the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, and he was just discussing about their new streaming tech called Orion, which is another cloud-based like streaming service. But the difference is that they promise to give like 20% faster like streaming per frame. So like there's less latency, they said, and it can stream like on a lower bandwidth, so it can stream up to 40% on a lower bandwidth, which it just seemed like a lot of numbers. But then they did show a demo of it, and to be fair, Doom was running really well on the phone that they had it on whilst using a controller, so it did seem to work. However, what we know about how fast it's going to be or not, we don't know, because this is E3 and they're going to have a big setup there for internet. You know, their internet there is going to be really good. There's people streaming a lot of stuff. So the internet there will be a lot better than most places in the entire world.
I'm about to say, Bethesda probably would have had their own like network hub there, like internal network. So like I don't know what this is running off, like, because when I seen it, I thought, yeah, I've seen other streaming platforms be able to produce games at that speed, but your internet needed to be top notch in order to do that. And obviously we've seen what Stadia can do, but we've also heard the pricing of Stadia, so people are not very keen on it either. And then we heard about Microsoft's xCloud, which is essentially good pricing because it's kind of already been introduced into their Game Pass, like secretly, and will be introduced into their next console to help with, you know, overall game development and when you actually play a game using the cloud system, like how I think they really originally wanted to with the Xbox One X. But obviously with this console now, they've actually figured out a way how to implement it with their games. And also we're partnering and teaming up with Sony, who also have their own streaming platform that they brought for like 400 million, which is Gaikai, which is one of the first streaming platforms for games in Japan and Asia. So every kind of like company is starting to get their own little thing. But for ID, and Bethesda especially to be announcing this, saying that if you implement Orion into your game with their SDK, that you can just put it into your game. So now I don't know if this is a cloud-based service or whether this is a feature to be used with other streaming services. Mm-hmm. That's where they weren't being clear on what it was. I don't know if this is a service or a system. Like, I don't know what it is.
I took it as less of a service and more of a technology that they've created that they want people to implement within their games to help the streaming services.
That's what I thought as well, because obviously, like, we're seeing people here saying that Bethesda's trying to like rival like other places, but I don't think that's the case, because Bethesda, like, is okay. ID Software does have the money because obviously they have like Oculus Rift money. So like ZeniMax does, the parent company, has Oculus Rift money, so they are a very wealthy company. So I don't really know. I think they can rival some of these companies on technology wise, because they've had leaps and bounds with VR technology and streaming before some of these companies even decided to like invest in them heavily. Mm-hmm. So I can see where people can try and say that they are trying to rival them. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it's more help, like, rather than hindrance.
So I personally, just to sort of like close it out, I feel that Orion is a technology that will be put into games, so developers will pay Bethesda or ID Software to put Orion into their game, and then by having Orion in their game, it then performs better on all the different streaming services, meaning that more people can enjoy the game on the different streaming services they choose to play on.
Also, apparently, like, this also reduces like costs massively for like indie publishers and developers, because they can put streaming within their game without having to shell out big bucks to try and implement streaming from like a company or something. So that is also very important for smaller developers and bigger developers and publishers that don't really want to pay that amount of money in order to implement a good streaming like system within their game that is able to go on Stadia and whatnot straight away. So
quite a good idea.
Yeah, really. It is a really good idea. Like, that is like, but that's not really Bethesda though. That's ID Software. Like they're always doing good shit over there. So I just leave them to it. But we've got one last thing just to discuss, and there is some stuff to really discuss, but not really, because the gameplay was just what we know it was going to be, and it just looked insane. And I was Doom Eternal, which I'm really excited for, because I played the original Doom and completed it, and I loved it. This just looks like an extension of what we've already got, and it looks like 10 times as crazier than the last game, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, it does look interesting. So I have Doom. I've not actually got Doom on any like PC or console apart from my Switch, which is probably not the best place to play it. However, I do play it on that a lot. Doom Eternal is also coming to the Switch, so you can get that handheld as well. But yeah, I mean, it looks a lot crazier than Doom. Like, there seems to be a lot more going on this time. They seem to have sort of not refined it, but just improved upon what was good. Which is always a good thing when games, when they make a sequel, they just keep it and improve upon it instead of trying to drastically change things.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking when I seen the full like showcase presentation of like Doom. Like, when they were showing off everything, I was like, they've just tightened up all the movements and, you know, refined them even more. Like, we already had smooth gameplay and smooth like combat, like so satisfying, and now they've done it to a point where like it's even more satisfying and the combat payoff is even greater. And some of the new animations are so cool, and new weaponry, new enemy types, new bosses. You go back to hell and you go to heaven as well, which is interesting. That was like said in the story, which is, I don't know if that's been done before. And yeah, it just looked super crazy, and also has like a collector's edition that comes with a real Doomslayer helmet. But don't be fooled, because these companies don't deserve our money. So
the final thing was the additional multiplayer mode that they announced.
Yeah,
battle mode, which really, when you say it, it's a first-person like fighter that pits like one Slayer against two other player-controlled demons in a fight to the death. That's how they've said. Doesn't sound that good, but actually it's one Slayer and then two players. So it's basically 3-player game, 3-player mode, but it's 2 against 1. So 2 control demons, 1 controls a Slayer, and it's a really interesting concept that some games have been trying to do for a while now. We've seen things like Dead by Daylight and stuff like that, where one person controls like the antagonist and one controls the protagonists.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and Evolve tried to do it a long time ago, which didn't kick off.
Yeah.
So this could basically be a little bit like what Evolve would be, dumbed down a little bit, and with Doom. It's a sort of good bonus thing just to have with a game that looks this good as well.
And it says it's an additional multiplayer mode, meaning that the original multiplayer mode is still there and is yet to be shown off, so that's going to be interesting too. Also, Doom is releasing on November the 22nd, 2019, and I will be picking it up. And that was it for Bethesda, really. It was okay. If I have to say, it was just okay. They spoke about Elder Scrolls a lot. Fallout 76, they didn't say sorry enough. I don't feel like they should have really discussed the issues and why it was issues, and talk about how you should be when it comes to games and why this shouldn't happen again. I give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
because they had a couple good releases that I'm interested in. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I was also going to give them a 6 out of 10. So I think that's the first time we've agreed this E3.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I feel like there wasn't enough at the start. They focused too much on trying to push fans, pull fans into them again, saying, "Oh, you do everything for us, we need you," but it didn't seem that sincere. It just seemed like they were doing it again as a ploy to sell stuff. Elder Scrolls Blades, not interested in. Again, like you said, too much Elder Scrolls stuff, too much mobile stuff for me.
Yeah.
And then the 2 games that they announced that had not been announced before, so Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, interesting games. But again, we didn't see too much of them. And Wolfenstein and Doom look good. And Orion, again, maybe not gaming as such as in a game, but an interesting tech that's coming to the market, and that sort of made it up to a 6 for me. But I think without those big games like Doom and Wolfenstein, it wouldn't have been a very good conference at all.
No, and these are games that we already knew about previously, so yeah, it was just meh, quite underwhelming. Like, do better next year, Bethesda. That's what I'd say. But yeah, 6 out of 10s all around. So I guess they should be proud of themselves a little bit.
In fact, no, I'm going to lower it to a 5. It's a 5.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, that means it's shit, Bethesda. It's shit now. Yeah, that's really all we have to say about Bethesda 2019 E3 presentation. I'll see you guys next time. Yo, not joking. Yeah, thanks for listening anyway. See you guys.
Yeah, we're not paying for that. If you liked any of the music in today's show, then please check the credits in the description to see what songs we used.